Well, I owe you guys a bit of an explanation. It's been a couple of weeks since the last video, and we've basically proven that we struggle to keep the engine cool when the front bumper's on. I think we can finally say that it's just not doable with the side radiators the way that I've set them up. It's so important for cool air to be coming through them. I've got pusher fans. We tried the 3D printing for the center. And then also I printed some ducts on the bottom of the radiators and connected hoses. And we really did give it our best shot. I'm going to run over what we did exactly in this video. Just showcase what we did, the data that we collected, and basically that we proved that the side radiators alone with the front bumper on are just not going to cut it for what we want to do with this car. So we're going to dive straight into what we did, how we got to where we are today, and what's next. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to run through is the actual ducts that we printed for the radiators. I don't know if I got any video of the ducts being made. This is what we have. So you can see here that I basically measured the outer perimeter of the radiator and split it underneath and had a decent sized 2.75 inch hole for pulling air into them. You'll see that we have two of them, and that was basically the idea was to pull air from the front of the bumper, like you saw in the last video that we were talking about. And we got that all set up. So I'm going to show you guys the front bumper and how we got that all together. So the first thing that you can see is that I glued the prints together. Basically, I glued them with a JB Weld plastic bond. You can see that I miscalculated by about an inch. That's fine. And we just installed them with zip ties. Damn, it's already dusty. And we have the hose connected on the outer piece. Now I'm going to flip this over and we can look at how the hose connected and what we then subsequently connected to on the radiators. So this is the backside. You can see that a part of the 3D printer cracked when I was drilling a hole through it, but it was just using a standard worm gear hose clamp and then this 2.75 inch heater hose ducting from a Nova. Pretty nifty that I could do that. And then this end just connected to the radiator duct that I just showed previously. So ultimately, let's talk about how this worked and what it didn't do. So with the front bumper on, we actually saw temperatures at speed maintain. If anything, they were a couple of degrees more than what we had with the bumper off, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. However, the problems arised when we were idling. So previously with the bumpers off, idling, I'd be able to cycle between my fans going off and on. I documented that pretty heavily, and we had no problem bringing the coolant temperature down with the bumper off. As soon as we put the bumper on, even with the ducting done, the idle temperature actually rose, which obviously you don't want that. When the engine is idling, it should be cooling or keeping within operating temp, right? I discovered that I was creating a cavity, or just think of it as a box inside the bumper where the hot air from coming off of or radiating off of the hoses was actually just creating a hot box inside the fender and bumper. And the push-up fans were just pushing that hot air, pulling that hot air in that hot box through a hot radiator and not doing anything. So insert photo here. I decided that I was just going to rudimentarily and very hacky cut a hole in the front bumper to see if that would actually help. And lo and behold, temperature started to drop. I also connected my shop vac to the hose on the in the center and was pushing air through it, through the radiator, and at idle it was cooling it down. So I know for a fact that the at speed temperatures were being maintained correctly with the ducting. So we confirmed that that was happening. However, at idle, we were still seeing an increase in temperature, which we didn't want, until I cut a hole in the front bumper, which then enabled the cool air from externally to be pushed and pulled through the radiator into the wheel well. Now, a lot of data, I collected a lot of data on this. I collected data with the bumpers off, with the bumpers on, with the fans off and on, like just a bunch. And ultimately that meant that I couldn't run a front bumper. These bumpers have the indicators in it, so I was kind of driving around with no indicators. And yeah, it just kind of confirmed that these side radiators aren't going to cut it for what I want to do. So I kind of drove the car around without the front bumper on. I took it to work and back again, and kind of had a blast with it, and recognized that my charge harness wasn't always charging. So I spent a lot of time with the help of Josh and Kevin to rethink the way that I was doing my wiring, which was definitely incorrect. My kill switch no longer works, which is weird because it kills the anyway. There's a lot of learning that I've had to do with this project, and I'm still learning, which is super exciting for me. I think that's why I really enjoy this project and why I want to continue it into the future. But long story short, the charge harness is now charging. There was some loose wires, there was some loose grounds. I've fixed all of that. I'm going to go through that now with you guys. And then ultimately, yeah, now the battery charges, the car starts every time, and I'm not going to get stranded and need a push start. So, welcome to my crib. I have this awesome battery box from Bracket Boys. I'll put a link in the description. It has a negative kill switch and it has a 200 amp main fuse. Previously, I had the charge cable on this side of the fuse. And so what that was doing was it was feeding all of this, the PDM, the ECU, everything from the alternator, which not good. So now the charge harness goes to the battery side of the main fuse amp. And basically that enables it to charge the battery with these beautiful Radlock connectors and not actually run any of this if this fuse is broken. What's very interesting to me still is that the ground kill switch, if this is killed, then I cannot give a ignition on to the R3. Once I have the ignition on and the car is running, if I kill this, the car does not kill, which means that what's happening is the engine and the PDM and the Nexus are grounding out somewhere else. Originally, I thought it was the chassis harness that was attached to the back of this, but that wasn't the case. I removed that. The engine goes to this point now, down here, and it still is not working as expected. That means that there is a ground somewhere else in the system that is enabling the engine to continue to run. Ground kill switches are probably one of the hardest things to implement, given that it can find a ground somewhere else. So we're going to rethink the way that this harness is grounded elsewhere in the system. Whether that's against the chassis, whether that's somewhere else, whatever that is, we're going to figure that out. So I also figured that before we start to pull apart this entire car again in the new year, we should probably drive it one more time and just kind of go for it. The last couple of drives I've actually hit limiter, which have been fun, but I think that it might be, yeah, we might want to drive it again. Alright, so kind of the last drive before we start to take everything apart. We're just going to go around the block. And basically discuss, you know, there's a lot that has gone into this project. There will be a lot that still goes into this project, but I'm excited for 2026. I think that there's a good plan. We've got good bones in the project. It's really just making sure that we have everything set up for the next few parts of the project. Which really isn't, it's not drastic. I mean, it's drastic in the sense of like, we've got a lot to do, but we don't have that much to do. Like, and it runs nice, man. There's a Civic Type R in front of me, like a 2025, and I kind of want to race him, but, you know, I'm just going around the block. I got 0.9% fuel. Let's not blow the car up before we do all the drastic changes of the water system. But I don't know how this video is really going to come together. This is kind of the last drive before we start tearing things apart, drilling holes, cutting things up. You know, like, I think that it's time. We're going to get a lot done over the next month or so. That's limiter. Ooh, second. All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. This thing moves. It's terrifying. I love it. We just ripped on it. We're fucking going for it. Fucking love this thing. Yeah, she moves. Alright, time to pack it in. Pretty happy with that little rip around. I'm fucking hammering on it. I'm hitting limiter in second and third. Like, temperatures at 201. Once we do the rest of it, it's gonna be bang on. Now just driving normally. Yeah. The radiators do absolutely fine with no front bumper on. That's it. We'll park it in the garage and we'll commence teardown over the next few days of the coolant system. We'll go over everything. But honestly, I mean, I just beat the shit out of this. And we're sitting at 200. Bang on. No questions asked. It's hot outside too. And we're already dropping temperature, sitting at idle. It's currently 85 degrees outside. So, Merry holidays, happy holidays. It's Southern California holiday temperature. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. There you go. So, again, I'm happy with the CSF radiators without the front bumper on. Now we're just going to create a setup that basically has the two side radiators and a front center radiator, and that's what we're going to go over in the next video. So please like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.